we'll have to apologize because we decided to shoot this during LA's really intense recent heat wave. And you'll see the camera begins to overheat and get darker as it goes. That's not paranormal. It was just freaking hot. Now, back to us.
To me, when I began doing serious paranormal research, one of the concepts that honestly terrified me the most isn't, I don't know, just a dead person coming back. Let's just say that.
Yeah.
Something as basic as that.
Not grandma coming back. She's mad at you.
The idea, and maybe it's because I'm a writer. I know it's because I'm a writer, and I know how much pre-writing I do before I put pen to paper for real. But the idea of automatic writing scared me silly. Actually, from reading it in that book right there, the Rosemary Ellen Guiley's
Which, if you
Encyclopedia of Ghosts and
ever
Spirits.
want a book on all things paranormal to answer all of your questions, pick up this book. It's amazing.
Yes, automatic writing to me, where you just become a vessel. I mean, you're becoming a vessel to be inhabited, to be possessed, and in a trance-like state,
Yes.
you will begin writing things that you don't know you're writing until you regain your consciousness. And we see this. It's not done intentionally by Lorraine, but this happens in what turns out to be. We don't know it's automatic writing at the time.
No, we think she's just lost her marbles.
We see this really scary sequence where
Via Farmiga suddenly transitions into her character from Bates Motel for a split second.
we think that she's having, I don't know, a weird nightmare and a weird freak out. We just think she's destroying her Bible, actually, is what we think. And then it's not until the very end where we see that she's actually, she asks the demon, "What is your name?" And she's writing it into the Bible, carving it really into it.
But what I thought was great is this is not even the first time or the only time that we see this demon's name. We see it several times leading up to that. Whether at first it's written in a craft project behind the Warrens in their breakfast nook, and then you see it in the bookends and the letters on their own bookshelves. And then as her daughter is putting together a necklace, she's spelling out the demon's name, which I thought was great. This demon that wanted you so badly to know what it is, which in a lot of demonic cases and what they say, that is it. Those demons have their egos, that's how you learn their names and get that control.
I like that a lot because it's not just something that's isolated to the case in England. It's already seeking them out and drawing them in, even though they don't know about it. There were moments that were silly when they tried to be scary. Because
watching the crooked man run down the hallway.
Well, to me it was when the Warrens were being it was visually beautiful. It was really cool and interesting and creepy, and actually it started out being something I love. When you see, we're at the Warrens' house before they go to Europe, where you see the shadow of this entity walk across the room. And that is awesome. And that is a paranormal thing that happens. Not, I wouldn't even say commonly, and I'm not talking about shadow people, but on Cuba Road in Illinois, people see a couple holding hands walking on the street, and you just see their shadows on the ground. That's amazing. So it was really neat to see just a shadow going across the room. But then it went behind them painting. It was just theatrical.
No,
even from behind, it was cool. It was visually really cool. Even at first when it was just standing behind it, perfectly framed up. But what do you think the demon is saying? I bet this is pretty badass right now. Look, I'm totally right here. Also, I always find it interesting when talking about demons in pop culture, the idea that these are egomaniacs.
Mm-hmm.
Wait, where's Trump? That would putting their we hear about, right now we hear a lot about the Zozo demon. That's all over a lot of paranormal communities, because that's apparently a very actively busy demon. Even if the Enfield case had a known demon associated, would you want to use the real name as the screenwriter and keep fluffing this asshole's ego?
I don't know. I actually had never considered that, especially when I was doing all my research into the Supernatural TV show, and I was actually really frustrated that none of these demons that they were using were actually real.
Yeah.
But I suppose it's true. Maybe that was part of it, that they didn't want.
Yeah, like even if they're not really believers, like, well, let's not say Candyman the third time.
Well, it's sort of like Voldemort. You know, does using the name increase his power? Or is it one of those, using the name only increases fear of the entity?
You got even more nerdy than I was planning on being.
I also find it interesting that Patrick Wilson can apparently sing.
At first, when Lorraine talks about how she can't pick up anything, she can only sense the family's fear. That is intense, that is great, that is powerful, that makes all the sense in the world. As we talk about, as paranormal investigators, you go out and you have to do whatever you can to get over your own fear, because by being fearful in a place, you're putting up barriers against yourself. You're protecting yourself if you mean to or not. And it makes all the sense in the world in that moment that Lorraine can't get past the family's boundaries. Of course, we find out that there's more to it much later on in the movie, that the demon itself is putting up its own boundaries and whatnot. But that is a really, I love that moment. And when Patrick Wilson began doing his spot-on Elvis impression.
Can I please just watch him play Elvis all the time? Like,
I mean, he already had the sideburns.
God, those diapers.
It additionally goes to prove that if it was merely the family's fear, Lorraine should have been able to pick up on things immediately, because that's when the family became a family again.
Mm-hmm.
And again, that's another great moment of the heart of the movie.
Yeah, you just watched her. You saw in her, in that moment, her decision to leave. That she did not want to stay with this case anymore.
In that moment?
I think so. I think in that moment you saw how much Ed meant to her, and the fact that she kept having these visions that she wanted to leave that life, that she didn't want it to get to that point.
I don't know. I didn't pick up on that personally. I will say what I saw in that sequence was the dolly grip's ass in the reflection in the cabinet.
No, you did not.
100%.
Oh no.
Because in a movie like this, you're always looking for like something subtle in the background. And so especially in glass, you're looking for, is a demon face gonna appear? You never know with the Hollywood press machine, but apparently there were so many weird goings on set of the first Conjuring movie that they had a priest bless the set before they made this movie.
That's awesome.
Which I come from Chicago, but my filmmaking self comes from Hawaii, and that's what we do in every movie. We have
That's part of the Hawaiian culture.
It is, but I mean it's specific to the film industry, that you'll have a kapuna come on set before you roll camera. He'll do a blessing, he'll kind of splash all of you with the holy water. The one movie that didn't happen immediately on was a kind of a dark movie. It was the killing of John Lennon, and we couldn't line it up exactly on time where the priest was on set prior to us filming, so he blessed us around lunchtime, and our first shot was set up. It was in a gun store. It was a dolly shot on a hydraulic lifted camera, and doing the first rehearsal, the hydraulics split. Shot hydraulic fluid all over the set. Our pretty elder camera guy, or director of photography, just slammed onto the ground from this thing. It obviously got our attention that, we tried to roll without getting a blessing from an elder in Hawaii, and it didn't go well.
I love the shot of like Annabelle in the background, and then Ed puts the Crooked Man box right next to the box from The Conjuring.
Yeah.
That was great in his museum.
Oh my gosh, the strongest curtain rings in the history of curtain rings.
Oh my god, those deserve their own award.
Couldn't you find some other way for him to not quite be falling out the window, but sort of? Like, couldn't it be the curtain rod itself is falling out of the wall?
I mean, even like something that's not on like the hook. So like my curtain just slides under the rod.
Dude,
like,
even
you could use that.
Even if the hooks are good, it's fabric. You're telling me a 160-pound, 80-pound guy plus a 14-year-old girl is being
Another 80 pounds.
held up by that bit of fabric on a hook.
I did think it was really weird that she was suddenly able to like shoo this demon out of the room like without any issues just by being like, Bright skin pals, you wanna leave. But in the first movie we had to watch like a 15-minute exorcism.
Yeah. I had bought it because I wasn't thinking about the last movie, but you're right on that. So I bought into that, even though it was a little bit of a, she kind of took her time getting there. Her husband's about to die on this tree stump, but like, I know your name, therefore, and she's like closing arguments in that courtroom. So you see the actors with the actual people in the closing credits, and you see bits of evidence from back in the day. And they do it again in this movie, including playing some audio tape, some of the actual interviews that have this bizarre, in the world of the movie it's the demon, but what's amazing and what I love about that and what I love about these movies is that as intense and scary as hell as they are, they really do illustrate the point that this is something that happens. Anybody at any moment could find themselves in a very scary, very paranormally charged world. That was The Conjuring 2, again, really well done, super worth it. You know, James Wan really does know how to scare the pants off of you. Keep watching.
Not only a ghost hunter watches, but what's your ghost story?
Yes. The next video that you will see on What's Your Ghost Story on YouTube will be an investigation I did looking for Bigfoot. And it was honestly the scariest investigation I've ever been part of. It's so freaking fun.
Scarier than Linda Vista Hospital?
Yeah. Easily. For me, like you were down there alone, I was with a bunch of like douchebag kids. So it wasn't scary for me.
Put that in there. Also look for us at Midsummer Scream, a new amazing Halloween convention for all things Halloween. That'll be out in Long Beach this year on July 30th and 31st. We'll have a huge paranormal section at the convention that's just for all things paranormal. We're gonna have the Winchester Mystery House there. If you're into horror, we'll have all kinds of other fun things. We'll have haunted houses, a little pre-Halloween haunting action going on, spooky haunting action.
Halloween is year long, first off. There's no pre-Halloween, it's always Halloween.
It is always Halloween, and now you can have Halloween and July.